4, 3,
2, 1.
Put everything down and crank your speakers up.
It's time for
The Realest Podcast.
Oh yeah!
We got us a new world champion!
And what is going on, guys? You're listening to the Realest Podcast, and welcome to March 13th, Monday Night Raw review. I'm joined by Andrew, as always, and, well, we got ourselves a bit to talk about today. Just a little bit. But before we get into it, as probably many of you know, we did not have a SmackDown Live review. I will be explaining why in a separate video. And it's going to explain a lot, needless to say, so.
Yeah. It's interesting, with tonight. It just, I was just so emotionally tuned out, man. It's just, I can't get over it. I have to say it. I can't hold it anymore. It was that bad.
I can't hold it in anymore.
It was that bad, man. I don't know what to say. I mean, every hour was terrible, with the exception of the closing, which was a big shocker. But terrible show.
I mean, it really wasn't. I mean, you hit it right on the coffin, as Brian would say. It really wasn't a good show. Through it all, I mean, from the get-go, you kind of saw what the show was going to center around, which is Mick has to fire somebody. And I saw tweets, everybody was saying, okay, it makes sense for Mick to fire himself. It makes sense to Mick to fire Sami Zayn or somebody random. And I follow Justin LeBar on Twitter, and somebody asked him, what if he fires Stephanie? And he straight up, and I mean, it makes sense. Why would, considering that she's his boss, why would you fire her? It was like, yeah, you don't see the assistant manager saying, hey, you're fired to the manager, ever. Or the cook at a restaurant going to the manager and saying, hey, you're fired. You're no longer needed here. That just doesn't happen. For Andrew's case, you don't see a substitute or a teacher go to the principal and say you're fired.
Yeah, sometimes you wish that, but no.
So, I don't get why they. I mean, story-wise, it's kind of like he just buried his own grave, and it's like, and of course, next week one of the center points of storylines is what's next for Mick Foley? Is he fired? Is he not? Let's see what happens next week on Raw.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of know he's gonna get canned because we've been hearing it for months now that he was going to be going soon.
Yeah, he needs that hip replacement surgery pretty bad. Which if he didn't, he would have taken bumps. If I'm not, well, I wouldn't say hardcore bumps, but he would have taken something.
He took a little bit of something there.
I mean,
he took a low blow,
Michael Andrews says that he told his mom she was fired. I'm thinking about telling my mom that.
Oh man, if only were that easy.
Only if, but it's not.
Oh man, no, not with anything.
No, not at all. He took the softest low blow I've ever seen in my life too.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're being very careful with him,
Right,
and for obvious reasons.
Here's a low blow. I mean, to be real, you get hit there, it's gonna hurt. But I mean,
oh yeah,
we've seen Ric Flair is, I'm sorry, best low blow champ in the game.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, he's the dirtiest player in the game. So what do you think?
Very true. I mean, I don't know. What do you think of the segment? I mean, there's a lot more to talk about with that segment by itself, but altogether, what do you think of that segment? I mean, I think that was the best thing about Raw. And here's the big question. Was Seth Rollins' injury a work?
Yeah, you have to really think about it because, I mean, while it's not possible, it's kind of or why it is possible, that, I don't know, it's just, when you have an injury that severe, for them to be back that early, it's like unless you're like John Cena, it's very unheard of you to come back. So it's like I don't know. It really felt like a work, for him to take bumps after tonight.
Well, the doctors, again, the doctors have said that he has been rehabbing like crazy since basically since day. I wouldn't say since day one of the injury, he's been rehabbing. So, it is very possible that because I went off on the calendar and just looked, he's been out 6 or 7 weeks, to be exact. 6 or 7, or actually, we'll do this. He's been out 5, 6, or 7 weeks. One of the three. He injured himself on at the January 30th of Monday Night Raw. So the go home or the first show since the Royal Rumble, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 7th week, and the MCL tear is a 6 to 8 week return. So he was going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. So it does make sense for him to return.
Yeah, it's just normally you would err to
I
the
get where
side
you're
of
coming from. Sorry to interrupt you, but I do get where you're coming from. Where it's like, well, he just did all this because it does make sense because he literally just went full on, hardcore like leg, stuff with the leg.
Yeah, and that's really big. I mean, and like the best example of that's Finn Balor. Like we're just now seeing Finn Balor back into the ring on live events. Normally what they do is they do stuff like that where they put them in live events where they'll take limited contact and like tag team matches. But like this was like full on contact. And everything you could really see was focused on that leg.
Yeah, in reality you really can't have, him take that much contact because of the fact that he is, just coming off the MCL, and it also ruined the storyline of the will he make it to WrestleMania type of deal,
Oh, yeah.
It does make sense.
So, I mean, even if it was a work or even if he did recover early, was it a mistake to reveal that he was ready to go now?
No,
That's
I
the
don't think
question.
so. I don't think so because now he's able to build the storyline on his own instead of having, what we have, which is still like I said, I think it's the hottest thing on TV or for any WWE television, or let me rephrase that, the hottest thing that Raw has. So I think what are we 2 weeks away now, excluding this week? We're 2 weeks away. So I mean that's 2 weeks of storytelling. So
yeah, we're like 20 days away. It's just we're getting down to the line. It's just I really want to see Seth Rollins and Triple H go at WrestleMania, but it's like I said before, if he's okay to go, do it. If not, there's no shame in saving it. You don't want to push it. Last thing you want to do is push it and hurt yourself even further.
well, I think after today, I think he's okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, like
reverse figure 4.
Yeah, well, not only that, he took like what 2 or 3 shots to the leg with the crutch, and then he had that reverse figure 4 on him. So and he was running on it too. I mean, let's be honest. He was running on it. He was getting hits on it. He was getting put into a submission move. It's not like Mick Foley where he took that one little blow and that was it. It was just full on contact, and he was getting his leg targeted. So I mean, it's kind of like that's a sign that it's all good.
Michael says there's only 2 Raws left. I don't think they had much of a choice to bring Seth. Well, with his injury, I mean, especially with the past and what's been brought to the public of, for instance, CM Punk, him having, what was it? It was infected with, I don't remember. I don't remember exactly what he had infected, but they kept telling him that he was okay and he actually needed it to be removed, and they would not get it removed. And the doctor said after he quit that they were surprised that he was alive.
Right.
So with everything that's come out in the public, and especially with the past, they're not gonna let this happen where they're gonna push Seth Rollins, especially with a bad knee, to do something like that.
Right. And it's just like I said, it's just, is it a work? Is it not a work? Is he really that good that he can get rehabbed in time? Let's be honest. I'm not saying that I'm disappointed that he's back. I'm just concerned. I've seen it all too often. Somebody comes back from injury, hurts themselves again real quick. I don't want to see that happen to Seth Rollins again. He just got back from injury before, and now he just got injured again. So it's kind of like I'm in protective mode of Seth Rollins,
All right.
As a fan, I'm in protective mode. So I mean, like as a fan of Seth Rollins, worried about his health, I would prefer that he would be resting up until the point where he's ready to go, as opposed to him rushing to come back.
Well,
and you know what, honestly, I wouldn't have been that angry if he came to WrestleMania and all of a sudden dropped that crutch and was like, I'm ready to go.
I'm okay with what they did today. If he does appear next week, I don't think he needs to have. He doesn't need to do, excuse me, anything in the ring.
No, he doesn't have to have any more contact anymore.
He doesn't need to have any dumb, tag team match or singles match that's just basically showing that his knee is okay. Which they'll probably do that to show that his knee is okay. But, thinking about it, they'll put him up against like somebody like Jinder Mahal or some local talent. But I think that they just need to say, look, cut promos against each other, do that, and then when Mania comes, go hard.
Mm.
But I mean, with how slow, and I don't know, that's the big question is was it a work? I don't think it's a work because I don't think that they would have been as concerned with it as they were. Now, it did become kind of really clear that when WWE on their website and stuff really started hitting, saying that Seth Rollins is more than likely not going to do it and everything. By the way, if you go to WWE for news, you're doing it wrong. I'm just letting you know. The only time you ever need to check for that is if there's an injury or if there's a release. I mean, you really don't even check the website for a release.
Ooh, speaking of
Swagger.
releases, Jack Swagger. It's been rumored for weeks, and then it was kind of like a roller coaster for a bit. First, it went out that he was released. Then it came out that he wasn't released, but he requested his release. And then just recently, it just said that he was granted his release.
Yeah.
Which, isn't very surprising from my point of view because he hasn't been on TV in how long,
I mean, the last thing we really heard about Jack Swagger was he was traded to SmackDown.
Right. And he was getting put into squash matches with Baron Corbin.
Yeah, so that's basically goes to show you where Jack Swagger was. Which Jack Swagger, I mean, I think they were wanting Swagger to be the next big thing, because he was the
back in the day,
he was their number one guy at ECW when ECW was basically their developmental.
I honestly think that when they brought him in, they were building him up to be the replacement for Kurt Angle. They kind of fill that void. The technical wrestler.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's go back to Raw. It was a surprise. There was two big surprises tonight. One you're seeing on your screen. This one was a surprise. I was honestly waiting for Finn to return. And that's another topic of discussion. We're 2 weeks away. More than likely, at this point, I don't even think we'll see... If we see Finn Balor at WrestleMania, it'll be, partial. I don't think we'll see Finn Balor in any storyline until after WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's very surprising that they wouldn't include him in some way. Especially since, from all intents and purposes, he's good to go. I mean, we had two big returns this week, Hideo Itami and Finn Balor, coming out. So,
for Hitami, he's gotta stay healthy. If he doesn't stay healthy, I see his release or something happening after his contract's up.
Yeah, because that's the other thing I was talking about. Like people who've gotten injured and come back and just got injured again. That was Hitami right off the the start there.
Yeah. Michael says, "Holy shit! The last time I heard of Jack Swagger, he was the rip-off version of an ECW champion." Yeah. I mean, he had his stint with the We the People gimmick, which I didn't mind. I thought it was pretty good.
It's probably one of his better gimmicks in a company. But it just, you know what? You could say the same thing about Jack Swagger. You could say about Ty Dillinger. The reason why guys like Ty Dillinger won't succeed in WWE is not because they can garner the fans and get over. It's because the management refused to push somebody like that while you have guys like Shinsuke Nakamura, Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins that you could, pour more money into, and it would give them more profitable return.
Absolutely. But again, with Seth's return tonight, the big question, like we've said, is was it a work? How is his knee? And here's another one. Does he need to get rid of the pedigree? Because the pedigree does do a lot of pressure on the knee, because you have to remember, that's both knees to the ground as he hits the pedigree.
Right.
So, I mean, the biggest injury that Triple H has ever had was really his quads. So, what do you think? Does he need to have a new finisher?
I honestly think that after this feud, yes, he'll need a new finisher. See, it made sense for him to start doing the pedigree when he became Triple H's handpicked guy. It was sort of like, all right, master and student, you're kind of passing on the torch to me. But, after all the stuff going on with his knees, you kind of want to avoid it. Maybe do something like the arms, kind of like Austin Aries with his forearm. Get something where it's not going to be putting any pressure on the knees as much as like a pedigree or a leap from the top rope. I honestly think we're not going to see the high-flying Seth Rollins that we're used to. I really think that we're going to start seeing a more grounded Seth Rollins, a more technical-based Seth Rollins. I mean, and the biggest reminder of that for me was when Randy Orton stopped being somewhat of a high flyer, because he used to do it all the time at the beginning of his career, and it started to really hurt him. So, he started going down to that ground wrestling, and that's where he stayed. So, with the injury to Seth Rollins, that might be in the cards for him. Some of the stuff that's made him exciting over the past might really be a need for change in terms of his health.
Yeah. The question, obviously the curb stomp's not going to return, so...
No.
What would he do? I'm fine with him still doing the pedigree if his knees can take it, because in reality he's a Triple H guy, so why not? But let's talk about, we also have another return, or a special guest of tonight was other than Shawn Michaels, coming to basically warn Roman Reigns about in his match with the Undertaker, saying that he's going to be distracted, or that he is distracted.
Yeah, it's like they're kind of running the Ebenezer Scrooge storyline with Roman Reigns. He's going to get the visits from the legends, everything. I think that's what they're going to do. Every week they're going to bring somebody else in to kind of advise Roman Reigns, somebody who have faced off against Taker, because that's what it's looking like right now. It's kind of like Shawn Michaels came out, offered his 2 bit of advice, and it was interesting. Maybe we are seeing a heel Roman Reigns coming, because he seemed awful heelish, the last 2 weeks with how he's been. I mean, I guess it's him trying to be Roman Reigns or the guy, marking his territory like a bloodhound, but some of the stuff he said and how he said it really reminded me of somebody who is ready to turn heel.
There was 2 quotes in that really caught my attention. And Michael says Roman is a bat on the mic when he's angry. He had some very heelish sayings. And here's the quote that got me, or I wouldn't say got me, but really caught my attention. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, he retired you, I'm gonna retire him.
Mm.
I'm sure that's not the exact quote, but
yeah, the message is clear there. Yeah.
So now is his career on the line, and like I said, my dream scenario for Roman Reigns is for a heel turn, and the best way to gain this heat would be to retire the Undertaker, because the Undertaker's an old school guy, so he'll retire in that sort of manner.
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings about that. I know that's what he's planning on doing, but I'm one of the people who I would prefer our legend to go out on a bang. So when Edge retired, it wasn't the way I wanted it to, but he had no choice. But the thing I liked about it was he didn't lose. He went out on a win, and for that, as a fan of Edge, that meant the world to me because now like I could turn around and say he went out on a win. You don't want to see people that you admire go out on a losing streak, especially Undertaker at WrestleMania. I mean, that's one of the biggest things in history. And if Roman Reigns does beat Undertaker, he becomes one of 2 people to ever beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. So, that is going to give him good heat, and that would make him the perfect heel. But I would be upset as a fan if they don't utilize that. If they do not turn Roman Reigns heel, I feel like it would be a huge waste for Roman Reigns to quote-unquote retire The Undertaker at Mania.
Oh, if they have a retirement match and Roman's not the heel in that case, you're absolutely right. What's the point of having that match? Because it will not accomplish one single thing for both. Roman will still be the most hated guy in the company as a face, and The Undertaker's no longer there, which... I love The Undertaker and all, but it's that time. It's about that time. Michael says, please, oh my God, please, drug test and gender. Jinder Mahal had his chance today. He really had his chance to, because he's already considered a joke. He had his chance to do something, and man, did it look like I wouldn't say nervous, but he rushed a lot of the moves he pulled. And it really looked bad.
Yeah, I guess he was told that the match was going to be like more of a squash match, and he would get his 2 bits in, but it seemed like and it really showed.
Hey,
I mean, there was a lot of bad wrestling
said you
today.
turned into a robot. So repeat what you just said. You're back and you're good.
Well, the idea that Jinder Mahal was in fact rushing, and it made him look very sloppy. That's pretty much it.
He did look sloppy. There was one point where he did a body slam, and it looked like he did not know what he was wanting to do. And so I don't know if it was planned for him to, have the back of, his knee hit the back of the head of Roman. But it looked like he wanted a body slam, but at the same time he didn't want a body slam. I don't know. It was just what I caught. But
yeah, but that was like one of many botches tonight when it came to wrestling. I mean, it was very sloppy wrestling.
Yeah. It was. But, I mean, I hate saying it, but in reality, what's new?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. We shouldn't be saying this about Monday Night Raw. We shouldn't be saying this about Raw. I mean, look at last night. And I hate to deter away from Raw because, this is what the review's about. But, last weekend, look at our main event for SmackDown. They gave Orton and Styles a good, solid 20-minute match. And honestly, they should have gotten a 40-minute match. That should be a pay-per-view match. That was how brilliant that match was. Absolutely brilliant. And then we go to Monday Night Raw, and this is the quality wrestling we get. We get, 5-minute matches with women, with cruiserweights, with guys like Roman Reigns. It's like they're trying to fit so much into that 3-hour period. And you know what the worst part of it is? They have 3 hours. They have the most time out of any other promotion, that they have running in that company right now. They have that much time. And if you really want to get technical, they also have an additional hour with the cruiserweights on Tuesday nights. So they have 4 hours to get their content across a week. And it still feels like they're rushing it. Why do they need to rush the matches? If they really feel like the card needs to be that stacked, they need to come up with an additional way to make these matches and not make the superstars look bad and rushed. Because then you get guys like Jinder Mahal that are trying to prove themselves, but are getting too nervous, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and they're looking sloppy. And it's very obvious to the smart fans.
Yeah, these were the only 2 segments of the night that really caught my eye and to where I liked it. As I said before, one thing that I noticed that, I do a lot is I really hit and I really hate on the show, which I'm going to try to stop doing, but it's very hard, as I said before, when, we have shows like we did tonight. Those are really the top 2 positives I saw out of tonight. I'm still trying to think of one. I thought Shawn Michaels, I thought Michaels on the mic was good. I didn't have any complaints about it. But that's normal. Michael's always good on the
Right.
microphone. I didn't have.
Oh, what about Dana Brooke? What about Dana Brooke? She turned on Charlotte.
To be honest with you, I don't care.
Well, I mean, you don't care about Emelina either. Or, I'm sorry, Emma. And she's coming soon again. So I just wanted to make that aware to everyone here, that she's coming soon. And, it's bad when even the commentators go, "Are we doing this again?"
Yeah.
That's really bad.
Yeah, it is. But let's talk more of what else happened tonight. We also had Nia Jax go in for a match where if she wins, she's going to be a part of the women's match, which turns it into a fatal 4-way match, which I'm sure Stephanie McMahon will say, "Well, you dominated Bayley, you're in." I'm sure she'll still get in. But let me ask you something. I say, as a competitor, I'm your boss. I'm going to say, "Look, this is your last chance. If you win, you're part of WrestleMania. If you lose, then you're going to sit this year out." Are you going to beat the crap out of somebody and get yourself eliminated or get yourself disqualified?
No, not at all.
That is where I had a problem. As a competitor, and anybody that is competitive knows where I'm coming from, if you're getting a last chance, you're going to do everything that you can to win. You're not going to throw up again in the turnbuckle and just lay in on her as if
use the break. Yeah.
I get that you don't like her and that you're a bad guy, but you're not going to do that and just, screw yourself out of an opportunity. But of course she's going to have her opportunity because, like I said before, Steph will say, "Okay, well, you did this, this, and this. So if you beat her, you beat the crap out of her, of course you're in." So there's no way they're not going to allow Nia Jax in that match because, again, Nia has been protected, and it also makes no sense to not have her in the match. So I don't know. With Raw, their storylines are so I wouldn't just go off and say sloppy. It's just a lot of them are very last minute.
I think that they're rushed. I think that's an appropriate word for it. I don't think that they're planned out as carefully as they would like it to, and I feel like that's what it is. They get that 3-hour period, and you're like, "Oh, we gotta do this, and we gotta do this, and we gotta do this, and we gotta do this."
Right. Where on SmackDown, I've been saying that Shane, I haven't been looking forward to Shane versus AJ and stuff, and Cena and Miz and Nikki Bella and Maurice just doesn't appeal to me. But it's unreal how important both those feuds feel.
Oh yeah. And like a big part of that, like on both parts, deal with the superstars involved because it's a really good sign that the Miz is able to get people on board with this feud, because I didn't care until the Miz started cutting those last 2 promos.
Right. Now, we also saw tonight the tag team champions Anderson and Gallows interfere with the number 1 contendership match, and it turned into a triple threat match. That's another situation that I don't understand, when it's like, how everything works, so why are you going to do that? But now, as predicted and as it has been shown, there will be a triple threat match at WrestleMania for the Raw Tag Team Championship, and honestly, it makes sense to see Enzo and Cass work it or win it, and sadly, those are the only tag teams that mean anything, so of course they're going to be put in. So, I mean, at this point, I don't care about any of the tag teams. I don't. Enzo and Cass, I've lost all interest for. Sheamus and Cesaro, Anderson and Gallows have been made a joke and somehow have the titles.
After going after them 106 times, they finally won.
Yeah, we also can't forget they were cheated hard in most of them. Eva is the cure. Eva was always the cure. We need Eva. Cut. Can't get enough Renee. Speaking of Eva, there is a rumor that the entire women's roster will be going up for the SmackDown Women's Championship. There is a rumor going out that Eva might be involved in that.
Yeah, I figured as much. Because, when they announced the entire Raw roster, or not Raw roster, SmackDown roster, you looked at all the people that were currently in the ring, and those were all the available women. So, honestly, if they were going to say all the available women like that, they would have just said, oh, well, it's going to be a fatal 5-way for the title.
Yeah.
So I honestly think we're going to have to expect to see some returns or some surprises come WrestleMania.
Well, I just think, the SmackDown women's roster is so good, and the storytelling, I mean, Alexa Bliss, without a doubt, the best heel out of the women, and just imagine her and Mickie James going back and forth. That would be such a good storyline, but instead we're going to get everybody going against everybody. I mean, we're basically getting out of both women. We're going to have the Raw women's, all of the Raw women go after each other, and then we're going to have all of the SmackDown women go after each other, which I hate. I absolutely hate that. I've never been a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it, because, I don't know, it belittles the title in my opinion. I thought last year they did it well. I thought there was a good storyline last year. But now it's just like, what the hell,
Right. I feel like they're just trying to get everything involved, and I guess we could be fortunate with that at this point, because before we didn't know if the title was going to be on the line.
I hate saying this, but the I'm not going to say I hate saying this, but because I don't hate saying this, every single woman on the SmackDown roster deserve what they're getting. They deserve it. They absolutely do deserve being in that title. They've worked their ass off, 100%. Wait a second. So every single woman on the roster has a spot. What about Nikki Bella? I know she's in a few, but she's a part of it.
Yeah, but she's not available.
All right.
You know what I mean? According to what they're saying.
Okay.
Because if she wasn't available, then Nikki Bella would have been included, obviously. But obviously, with her being involved with the Miz and Maurice, they're being excluded from this.
I know it's an absolutely dumb thing to say, I understand, but there is that one person wondering that, so I just figured I would say it.
Well, no, I totally get what you're saying. Why aren't they involved? Just because they're in a few doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to compete with it. But, I think that's why they use the term all available women, for this championship opportunity. And like I said, if they didn't plan on having some surprise returns, and I'll be shocked if there isn't, they shouldn't have used that terminology, all available women. They should have said, okay, well, it's going to be you 5 going up for the title.
Right. But before we continue, if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is free, I promise. We go live every Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to be having sort of a... I'm going to be honest with you guys with a video coming soon. I haven't really thought of how I'm going to say everything. I know that sounds really dumb, but if you guys watch the video, you'll understand where I'm coming from with it. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. Tune in every single week for live every week. WrestleMania weekend is going to be, or the week in general is going to be huge. We're going to be coming up with content every single day that week. We're also going to be having all sorts of stuff to talk about. WrestleMania weekend, the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, NXT TakeOver, the Hall of Fame. We got you all covered. So be sure to tune in, of course. So what'd you think of the promo for Paul Heyman and Brock?
Well, normally, all the promos are, excellent, so, it's routine at this point to kind of expect a good promo out of Paul Heyman. It's very rare for him to do a bad promo. With that said, I enjoyed it. I think it kind of gave credibility back to Brock Lesnar, which I think the feud sorely needed after the way he's been treated the last few months. So yeah, I'm kind of really glad with how the story is going and how it's progressing. And really, we're going to be seeing nothing but promos up until WrestleMania.
Is it funny that I wouldn't say funny, but is it crazy that I almost thought that you were about to say that it was a bad promo? Because you said, with that said, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it would be very rare for anyone to say that there was a bad Heyman promo. I mean, the guy's a genius. I mean, Brock Lesnar doesn't need to say a darn thing because of Paul Heyman, and it's okay. He's the only person who doesn't have to speak for himself, and it's okay.
Right.
And that's just because everybody loves Paul Heyman. You know.
One thing, that we didn't discuss, and we can discuss it, is the fact that Dana Brooke has turned on Charlotte. So there will be a storyline between those two. Now the question is what will the storyline be? I don't know, because now it's kind of put Charlotte in a pickle, because now, or a predicament, because now she's going to be feuding, and realistically she will be feuding with Dana Brooke, and now she's feuding with Bayley and Sasha. So, does Dana Brooke get herself involved with that women's title match?
Absolutely, but not in a championship picture. I think that
Well, I'm talking about
Charlotte
in
will
the match,
have that
like
match
she will
won.
be a part of the match.
Oh yeah. I think Charlotte will have that match won at some point, and Dana Brooke will cost her that opportunity.
Right. So you think that she's gonna interfere?
Yeah, and I think that's going to spark the feud between the two of them, and that will take a distraction off of the incoming Bayley versus Sasha feud that's bound to happen.
Okay, so assuming Bayley wins, let's just go on and say that Bayley wins the title at WrestleMania, or retains the title at WrestleMania. Who does Bayley go up against at Battleground?
I mean, I don't want to say it, but I feel like the next possible opponent would be Nia Jax, especially if she's left out of the triple threat match or the fatal 4-way match if she's involved. If Nia Jax is not put into that triple threat match, then I feel like they're waiting to use her for Battleground as like a sort of like a teaser before we get to see Sasha and Bayley. Because at this point, you kind of want to start building for next year. And I don't think that they're going to have Sasha and Bayley in one of the minor pay-per-views. I think they're going to save that for a more important pay-per-view.
I mean, personally, I would rather it be a triple threat match. I think, I'm a fan of triple threat matches, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of them. I don't like that, for the past 2 years, the women's match will be, back-to-back years, the women's match will be a triple threat match. I'm not a fan. I am not a fan of that. So, as long as if this is the last one until like next year or something, okay, I'm fine. But not next year, but for a while, I'm okay. I'm fine. But if this is going to be an ongoing thing, like with what they did for the Intercontinental Championship of it being just a big ladder match, then I'm not okay, because, realistically, everyone thought that this was going to be Bayley versus Sasha, Bayley and Charlotte, and that'd be it. So,
right.
We'll see, but who knows? I think I'd rather a triple threat match than a fatal 4-way, is what I'm trying to get at.
Right. Well, I mean, if they decide to leave her out, at least it makes sense, because they could see she needs her opportunity.
Especially with Nia, because if Nia is involved in that, it's going to be Nia dominating for a while, and then all three of the other women taking out Nia, and then Nia laying off to the side for a while.
Right.
So that's where I'm kind of like, I really don't want to see that, because I've seen it before.
Right. It'll be interesting to see, because if they leave her out, it gives her the opportunity to kind of contest that opportunity. Hey, I beat Bayley. I destroyed Bayley. I won her one-on-one. I'm not going to be left out.
Right.
Yeah. And that would set up Battleground.
Which, by the way, Battleground is going to be in the hometown of Bayley.
That's important.
So there's a reason why Bayley's a champion right now.
Right. Yeah, WWE likes doing that. They love giving the
Well, they like doing
They love giving
hometowns and then
yeah.
losing in your hometown. Let's not forget that Sasha lost in Boston, in that Charlotte lost in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Right.
Cena has lost multiple times in Boston. Edge lost in Toronto. So, that's all I'm going to say. But we saw Dana Brooke turn. We saw Chris Jericho and Sami Zayn win by disqualification with a total beatdown.
And they get destroyed.
I personally thought once again that there was an opportunity for Finn Balor to return. Did not see that. Again, I'm at a point where I don't think we'll see Finn Balor on Raw. I think he'll make a return maybe at WrestleMania. And if he does make a return at WrestleMania, then we will see... Then we'll just see something partial. Kind of what Cena did last year. Save the day type thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it all just is a big mystery. I mean, yeah, until we actually see it happen, they're going to save it for something. And there's obviously a reason why they haven't brought him back yet, and it's clear that he's ready to come back after the live shows.
Yeah. We also saw Austin Aries defeat Daivari.
Yes, thank you. Austin Aries finally back, yes.
Big Show defeat Titus O'Neil. Big Show also goes on to announce that he will be a part of the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. So, which I assume, with that being said, he will no longer be a part, or the Shaq versus Big Show match is now officially over. Not going to happen. So, I mean, kind of glad it's not.
Yeah.
Really wasn't looking forward to it. So, and by the way, this is more than likely going to be Big Show's last WrestleMania. He says he plans on retiring in February of 2018. And that's really it. That's all that really happened on tonight's Monday Night Raw. Not a very good show. Last week's show was, I'm pretty sure I gave it a 6, didn't I? I thought last week's show was actually half decent. I thought the second hour, was the worst hour out of all of them.
Right.
I mean, this one just dragged.
Yeah, it just I'm looking at my phone. It's just kind of is it 11 o'clock yet? Nope. Now what do I do?
Well, for me, I kept waiting for something crazy to happen, and we got 2 surprises, but I was really waiting on Finn Balor to return. Obviously, Finn's not going. I mean, at this point, I would assume that Finn's not going to return on Raw. I think the first Raw we'll see Finn return at will be the Raw after WrestleMania, which, by the way, apparently is not doing well in ticket sales.
Mm.
And that is the biggest Raw of the year. Also, again, just to remind everyone, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Would love to see your faces in the chat. See you guys talk. We always are interactive with the chat. Would love, WrestleMania week's going to be super busy for us. We got ourselves a lot of content coming that week. That weekend, once again, we'll be covering the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, the Hall of Fame, and then Saturday the NXT TakeOver event, and then WrestleMania itself, and of course Monday Night Raw the next night, and then Tuesday all going to be in Orlando. It's going to be a crazy 6 days, 5 to 6 days. So I cannot wait. This will be our first WrestleMania. Technically, this will be our first WrestleMania because last year we were at WrestleMania. We were not here. We did the show, but it wasn't from here. So this will be very interesting. I can't wait. I'm actually really excited for WrestleMania. Well, I say I'm really excited for WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania. I'm just kind of, speaking of WrestleMania, I've been listening to other podcasts, and, I listen to them, and it's very true. WrestleMania has turned more into a entertainment value than it has of, the number one pay-per-view, like Stories End, yada, yada, yada. So, I don't know what we'll get out of this. I'm hoping a good pay-per-view. I'm hoping good wrestling matches because the wrestling card looks big. Looks like we're going to get a big card, matches-wise. Usually we'll get like 3 or 4 matches and then a short some short matches in there. So we'll see where it goes. I'm sure everybody is somewhat excited for WrestleMania. I can't wait. I mean, TakeOver is looking great. Michael says, is it fucked up that whenever Roman moves fast, I think he's back on the drugs again?
You know what? It's at this moment that I'm starting to like really let it sink in. Where's Juan?
He hasn't been in the last 2 shows.
That's weird.
And like big things have happened with Roman in the past 2 shows.
Yeah, that's very weird. Here we are talking about Roman again.
Either he doesn't like us anymore, or he is, I don't know.
Come back, Juan. We're not dogging on you for Roman Reigns, we promise.
I don't know what happened. He was there that Sunday, and he said he was going to show up that Monday. Haven't heard from him. I was thinking the same thing, but we have Michael here. That's all that matters. We have Michael.
Yay, Michael!
You know
Woo!
in our eyes, Michael. So once again, I do think that's going to do it for us. Again, I am going to be making a video about why, especially with what content has been. If you've been a fan of the show before, really before SummerSlam, you knew that we made a lot of content. So since I've returned back home, a lot has happened. So I'll really explain what's been happening. So it's going to be more of a personal video. So it'll be sometime this week. It's probably going to be after Tuesday because I don't want to do it tomorrow with SmackDown happening. So for Andrew, I'm Blake Carter, and until next time, peace out.